Hello, and welcome to practice 2 of 4 that I share with my 50-plus age group students. We're going to go ahead and start out, as we always do, with a nice centering practice. So find a place to comfortably rest your hands, either palms down or palms up on the thighs, or if you prefer, stack them in the lap, wherever they feel comfortable. Then find yourself nicely aligning the spine, sitting up tall, yet relaxed. Allow the shoulders to drop down away from the ears. You can either have a soft gaze or close the eyes, whichever feels best for you. And now we're looking for a place of stillness. Once there, we want to move our attention inside to the breath. Slowing the breath down, smooth, even inhalations, smooth, even exhalations. Feel that gentle flow and the calming effect of each breath. And now, opening the eyes, if you had them closed, let's warm up a little bit with some gentle forward fold and twist work. Now I sit up on blocks just to help my lower back and my general seated position for our centering practice. But I'll get off those blocks, set them aside for our warm-up. So, starting out, let's just do a gentle twist, taking hands on each side of the right knee. So as if there were a line coming off of that knee, just try to square your shoulders to that line. Then, walk the hands forward just 8 to 10 inches, not real far. Next, you're going to let the forward fold continue by just the elbows bending. And you come down out over that right leg. Settle into the breath. Each time we find the stillness in a pose, we find the breath to take us deeper into each pose, from the inside out. Then go ahead and float the elbows up, walk the hands back, pause and center, and then fingertips on each side of the left knee. Turn the navel towards that left leg, and then walking the hands out just enough so that if you can, you bend the elbows and come down to Sphinx arms. Some of us don't get there. That's okay. Just lean out over that leg as best you can. Slowly make your way back up, returning to center. There, fingertips in front of the crossed legs. Walking out just far enough that, once again, we'll go down into our Sphinx arms if possible. Take the navel towards the crossed legs and lift your collarbones. So keep a nice long spine and think of the front and the back of the neck staying neutral length. So you may take a peek up at your screen to look at me, but then take your gaze back down after you're comfortable with your position and have a soft gaze on the floor in front of you. Now, if you can go further, you go out to straighten one arm, then the other, and slowly pour yourself over those crossed legs. A few of you may be able to get the forehead down onto the floor. And now, letting the head come up first, start walking the hands back, and center. Then, let's change the crossing of the legs, putting your other shin in front. Now, some of you aren't going to notice much difference, and to others, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I never sit like this. And you're probably right. We all have a way that when we sit down, we very naturally cross our legs. So this is just to help bring the body into balance. And even your same sequence that we just did might feel a bit different. So let's start out going again over to the right, fingertips on each side of the right knee, the shoulders square to the knee, walking the hands out, return to your Sphinx arms here. Some of you may get low enough that you can just relax the chin down on the knee. Let's make our way up. Backing out. Center for a breath. And then hands on each side of the left knee. Bring the torso around. And then hands out, elbows down as best you can. Remember, we all are just doing our practice. Each time we settle into a pose, even if we're going through stages of a pose, we'll hang out for at least 3 breaths. And that's where the practice deepens from the inside out. Come up. And now let's take it out in front again. Hands walk out. Initially, just pause. When we come down to Sphinx arms or softly bent arms, we can take a little time to focus on the alignment of the spine, the neck, and the head. So the crown of the head is a continuation of your spine. You don't tuck the chin down into your chest and look back at your legs, and you're not reaching your chin forward. The neutral head came forward with the shoulders. Then, if your hips are okay with it, the hands go out, and we go to a deeper forward fold. And then after our 3 or more breaths there, let's come up, sit tall, center. And now, let's make our way down onto our backs for a little supported back bend work. We're going to be using a block for the first 2 back bends. And in the Iyengar tradition, these are called restorative poses. We're going to let the breath, the block, and gravity do the work. Let's see how that goes. So for the first back bend, let me just show you. You want to take the block and place it under your bum, not under your low back. We want the body to drape over the block. And we're only going to use a 4-inch tall block. So I'm coming down as though I were going to go into bridge pose, so that the block is out here where I can get a hold of it, pick the hips up, and slide it right underneath the bum. Then the hands go down near the hips, maybe walk the shoulders a little bit away from the ears, and stretch one leg out and then the other leg. And we're just allowing ourselves to let go to gravity. Feeling a nice stretch from the top of the thighs, through the pelvis, up into the abdominal area. And in a restorative practice like this, we hang out for a minute or more in each pose, just settling into the breath, smooth, even inhalations, smooth, even exhalations, and let gravity do the work. Feeling that nice awakening on the front of the body. Most of our day is spent bending over, reaching forward, and this is just a nice little counter pose to that to stretch the connective tissue through the pelvis. Hang out here in silence for about another minute. And now, if this feels just wonderful, you're more than welcome just to stay here. Enjoy this nice, gentle back bend, or if you would like to add a little more lengthening to the pose, taking it through the torso, the shoulders, and into the arms, well then the hands can leave the floor, float up past the ceiling, and if you can, take the back of the hands down onto the floor. Now, if you can't get the back of the hands on the floor with parallel arms, widen your hands a little bit to more Y-shaped arms, and that may free up your shoulders enough to allow the hands to come all the way down. And then settle in for another minute. And now, if you did take the arms overhead, slowly float them back, landing the hands down next to the hips. Settle in for just a couple more breaths. Next, slowly bend one leg, then the other. Pushing the feet into the mat, pick the hips up, and slide the block out. Lowering the hips, rest for a couple of breaths. And now bring the thighs over the belly and place one hand on each shin near the knees and pull the legs close. And let's do our Apanasana flow, keeping the head on the floor. So letting the knees float away until the arms are straight. Inhaling here. Exhale, bending the elbows, pull the legs close. Pause at the bottom. Inhale, flow with a smooth, steady breath. Pause at the top. Exhale, knees come down. Gentle stretch in the low back and hips. Inhale, smoothly back away. Exhale, down. One more time for this flow. And then inhaling, when the arms get straight, allow the hands to let go of the legs, sliding down the legs until the feet find the floor. Hands drop down next to the hips. Rest for a breath or two. And now you can just roll to your side and look at your screen as I demonstrate what we're going to do next. We're going to do a supported bridge pose where we'll lift the hips up and we'll allow the block to hold us up into place. So we're going to want to take, if we can, a 9-inch tall block and put it right under our tailbone. It can go in line with the tailbone or across from hip to hip, whichever feels more comfortable and more supportive for you. Now, if when we pick the hips up and you can't get the 9-inch block under you, you can always go down to a 6-inch tall block. So coming back down, as though you were going up into bridge, and this time we are, you're just going to let the block do the work. So, feet about hip distance apart, ankles right underneath the knees, float the hips up, and do your best to get that 9-inch block under you. If it didn't make it, go down to a 6-inch block. Now, once you get that block in place, walk your shoulders away from the ears, tucking one shoulder in and then the other. You can hold on to the edges of your mat to help you keep your shoulders tucked under. Then lift the chest towards the chin, gently tuck the chin towards the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. Settle into the breath. If you're able to take the hands and interlace them underneath you, well then you might be able to open up the shoulders and the upper back even more. Always going to your pose. So if you try something and it doesn't quite work for you, we'll go back to what was working. And now let's settle in to this pose for another minute. Attentive to the breath. And now if you did interlace the hands underneath you, undo the interlace, take the hands back out by the long edge of your mat, pushing the feet into the mat, reach underneath you, get a hold of that block, take it out, and slowly return the spine and the lower back down onto the mat. And rest for a couple of breaths. Now, we're going to do some gentle bridge flows. So the first one, here again, we want to make sure the feet are hip distance apart. Remember how you can use your fingertips to feel the heels of the feet, and that'll pretty much have your ankles right underneath your knees. Then we're going to be floating the hips up 3 times with the breath. So exhaling with the hips grounded. Inhale, smoothly bring the hips up. Pause at the top. Exhale, lower them back down. Inhale, up come the hips. Exhale, slow, steady breath brings the hips back down. Inhale, up, one more lift in this flow. Exhale, and back down. Now once we're grounded, heel toe the feet together. So you have Tadasana feet with the big toes touching, And we're going to do marching bridge. So we're going to have the hips up, the one leg at a time will come up, the leg stays bent and stops when that floating foot is next to the knee of the opposite leg. So first, float the hips up. And let's start with the right leg. Exhaling here, inhale the right leg up, stop when the foot is next to the knee. Exhale, put the foot back down. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, back down. Keep your hips up. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, back down. Inhale, up with the left. Exhale, down. Inhale, up one more time on the right side. Exhale, down. Inhale, last time up on the left. Exhale, down. And then return the spine to the mat. Pause. And now slide the heel of the left foot, or excuse me, the right foot, all the way out and get a straight right leg. And then we're going to flow the straight leg up to match the thigh and knee on the bent leg. And the hips are coming up also. So exhaling here, inhale, hips and straight leg come up. Pause when the legs are side by side. Exhale, smoothly come back down. Inhale, float that right leg up along with the hips. Exhale and down. Inhale, up. One more time on this side, pause. Exhale, down. Take a breath or two, one leg straight, one leg bent. And then bending the right leg, Tadasana feet. Slide the left foot away from you, straight left leg. Get ready for your flow on this side. Exhale together. Inhale, bring that left leg up. Exhale, back down. Inhale, up comes the leg, pause. Exhale and down. Inhaling up. One more round here on this side. Exhale and all the way down. Bend the left leg, both feet are grounded again, and then go ahead and heel toe them apart so that the feet are hip distance apart again. Getting ready for drawbridge flow. So this time the arms are going up and over, the same time the hips go towards the ceiling. Exhaling here, inhale, hands and hips leave the floor at the same time, reach overhead. And now as you exhale, can you get the hands and hips to land at the same time? Pause at the bottom. Inhale, open up into drawbridge, extend, exhale. Smoothly come back to your starting position. Inhale, up. One more round here. Open up. Exhale. And back out. Hands and hips down. After a couple of breaths, let's bring the thighs back up over the belly, one hand on each knee. Hug the legs close, get that initial stretch in the low back and hips. And now allow the knees to float away to straight arms. And this time, when we pulse the knees, we'll take the head up to meet the knees 3 times. Inhaling here. Exhale, knees down, head up. Inhale. Smoothly open back up. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Starting position. Exhale. Curl up one more time for this flow. And as you inhale, when the head gets to the floor and the arms are straight, let the hands slide down the legs again while the feet go to the floor. Hands drop to the floor. Rest here for a couple of breaths. And now we're going to go into some recline twists. But we're going to need a strap, so have that nearby. And let's come back down onto our backs if you aren't still there. Bring the thighs up over the belly again and hug both legs in. And this time we're going to take the left hand over to join the right hand. Keep that right leg closed and float the left foot up to the ceiling. Reach through the heel to activate that leg, and then very slowly lower the straight left leg down. When the heel hits the floor, quite often the calf muscle will be floating. When you reach through the heel, you can put that calf muscle down on the mat. Keeping that right leg closed for a couple of breaths. Then let the bent knee float away until the straight arms and interlaced hands stop it from going any further. And we'll do Ardha Uttanasana, taking the head up to meet that knee 3 times. Inhaling here, exhale, knee down, head up, inhale, smoothly open back up. Exhale, curl up, inhale, head to the floor, and straight arms. Exhale. Up one more time on this side. Inhale. And now reach over and get that strap. And let's take the center of our strap around the right foot. Initially, we want to start out with one end of the strap in each hand, the hand somewhere near your knee, so that you can have soft elbows, the shoulders can relax gently on the floor, and you can guide that foot as much as you can overhead for a nice hamstring stretch. Now, if you have a tight hamstring, your foot might be more towards the other end of your mat than the head end of the mat. So just honor your hamstring, keeping the leg straight. Don't compromise your pose with a bent leg just to nurture your ego. Keep the leg straight. And after a few breaths, lengthening that hamstring, let's go into the inner thigh muscle, the adductor muscle. Taking the right hand up to take both ends of the strap, let the left arm go out in line with your shoulder to the left side, palm up. Now before we take the right foot out to the right, put some attention on your left shoulder and your left hip. Keep your hip grounded and the shoulder grounded as you now start taking the right foot out to the right side. Now, if I tried to take the foot to the floor, the hip on the opposite side of the body would pop up. So I slide a little bit of the strap through my hand so a soft elbow can find the floor, and I have a right foot hovering out to the side. But I'm keeping this hip down and this shoulder down so that the angle from the leg through the pelvis is the same. Settle into the breath. Remember, when we find the stillness, at least 3 soft, centering breaths. And now let's bring that right foot back up. Get it in line with your hip overhead. And then bring the left hand up. Take both ends of the strap into the left hand, the right arm out in line with your shoulder, palm up. Then taking the floating foot across the body. Let your left foot drop over the little toe side. And this time we're not letting our right shoulder pop up. We're trying to stack the right hip on top of the left. We keep our hamstring stretched by using the strap to guide the foot towards the head. But now we have a nice stretch on the outer hip and a good spinal twist. Settle into the breath. Let's bring that right foot back up. Feel the left toes rotating to point towards the ceiling again. And then return to having one end of the strap in each hand. Soft elbows, relaxed shoulders. If you have some reference on your ceiling maybe, that you could look at your big toe and say, maybe I can move my big toe towards that line out in front to help you get your deepest hamstring stretch in the right leg. And then soften the knee. Take the strap off. Set it aside and hug the right leg in. Diagonal stretch through the pelvis. Then go ahead and bend the left leg, hugging both legs in evenly. And now let the right hand go over to join the left hand. Keep that leg close and float the right foot up. Activate the straight leg by reaching through the heel and then slowly lower the right leg all the way down to the floor. Remember to reach through the heel, keep that leg active, pull the bent leg close. And now get your strap again. Strap around the sole of the left foot. One end of the strap in each hand. Get your initial hamstring stretch, both legs straight, both legs actively reaching through the heel. And now for our hip opener to the left hand takes both ends of the strap, the right arm out in line with the shoulder palm up. And remember, the right shoulder and right hip this time. Stay grounded as the left foot starts heading out to the left. So if you think about it, if you let the hip pop up and the foot goes all the way to the floor, well then you'll never know really where your improvement is. If you stop because your adductor muscle, your inner thigh, said that's as far as I can go without the hip popping up, over the years of your practice, you'll know that that foot is getting closer to the floor with this opposite hip staying down. Let's bring that left foot back up. Pause with the foot overhead. And now the right hand goes up, takes both ends of the strap, left arm out. Cross the body with the left leg. The right foot drops over to the little toe side. You're keeping your left shoulder grounded as you stack the left hip on top of the right. And don't let your bottom leg get lazy. Keep it active. Let's bring the strap foot back up. Right toes coming back up to point towards the ceiling. One end of the strap in each hand, and here again, if you have something on the ceiling you can use as a reference, just to help challenge yourself to move that foot. Getting your deepest hamstring stretch for a couple of breaths. And then bend the left leg. Strap comes off. Set it aside. Hug that leg in. Let's bend the right leg. Hug both legs in evenly for a couple of breaths. And then letting the knees float away. Let go with the hands, the feet find the floor. Let the hands drop down next to your hips. Rest for a couple more breaths here, and then we'll make our way up for our standing practice. And now for our first standing sequence, let's get a couple of blocks to help us out. We're going to take 2 blocks and put them shoulder distance apart, lining the edge of the block up with the front edge of our mat. Then we're going to use the back edge of our mat to line our heels up. Just checking in first with Tadasana feet. Nicely centered, big toes touching. Now, let's go ahead and step the feet wide, still using the back edge of the mat for our alignment. Get the toes pointing straight ahead. It's very natural for the toes to want to turn out when we're stepping them wide. Turn them to point straight ahead. Then, with the hands on the hips, we're going to warm the hips and hamstrings up with a gentle half forward fold and back up to where we are now 3 times with the breath. Inhaling here. Exhale. Hinge gently forward. Hover and pause. Inhale smoothly. Let the shoulders come back over the hips. Exhale, forward and down. And pause. Inhale, make your way back up. Pause at the top. Exhale. Now this time, let's come down and get the torso parallel to the floor and just hover for a breath or 2. Then, taking the hands off the hips, put them on top of your 9-inch blocks. Straight arms, straight legs, and a flat back. Now, one of the things when you're doing wide leg forward folds, the wider the legs, the closer the floor. So I'm going to heel toe my feet just 1 time in each direction, adding maybe 2 to 4 inches between the feet now. Then we're going to go down into a forward fold by just letting the elbows bend straight back. Now, some of you, the elbows bend enough that you could use your blocks similar to the way that we use the block under our back to offer some support. So we can just allow ourselves to drape onto the blocks, settle into the breath, and enjoy this wide leg forward fold. Now, if your elbows don't come down to the blocks, that's fine. Just find your forward fold. Everybody pretty attentive to a long, straight spine here. We're not in our deepest forward fold, and we're not in a hurry to get there. Then, back to straight arms. Hands on the 9-inch blocks, long spine, straight legs. If your elbows were easily able to go down to the 9-inch blocks, well then you can pick. You can go down to 6-inch blocks or 4-inch blocks. Everybody's staying on blocks for this second stage. Straight arms, straight legs, and maybe a new block choice. Some of you stayed on 9-inch blocks because the elbows didn't bend much. Soften the elbows, and here again, if you can, ground them on the blocks. Attentive to that long spine. So I'm sure there's many of you that know you can go deeper. Don't be in a hurry to get to your final pose. Enjoy the journey. Recognize there's plenty to focus on at each stage. Here, the legs are straight. You curl the tailbone up. You bring the navel forward and down. And after a few breaths, let's go back to our straight arms. So, coming down into a pose and back out. If you have one more lowering available, you can do like I'm doing and go down to 4-inch blocks, or some of you could set the blocks aside because you were already on 4-inch blocks. And if you're setting the blocks aside, make sure that your elbows can make it to the floor. Now, here again, if the legs had loosened up a little bit, you could heel toe the feet a little wider. Straight arms, straight legs, long spine. Soften the elbows, let them bend straight back. One elbow down, the other elbow down. I just put my palms together to have a nice sense of symmetry. And enjoy the forward fold. Hopefully your adductors and your hamstrings getting a nice stretch. And now, back to straight arms. Long spine. And if you did heel-toe the feet a little wider, bring them back together. Just enough, not all the way together, but just enough so that you'll feel very stable when you now leave your shoulders where they're at. Let the hands leave the blocks and go to your hips. Exhaling here. Inhale and smoothly bring the shoulders back up. Heel toe, step the feet back together. Relax the hands down from your hips. Mountain pose, Tadasana. And now, let's do a little balance practice using a strap. So I'm going to set my blocks aside and grab my strap. So a little bit of what we did while we were lying on our back, we're going to see if the strap can help us do similar poses standing up. So with Tadasana feet in place, lift your left toes and slide the strap under the left foot. So walking your hands down the strap so the arms are straight and the strap is taut. Let's use the strap as though it were a shelf that the foot was resting on. The right leg is the standing leg. Start softening your left knee and gently pull on that strap to bring the foot just 2 or 3 inches off the floor. Find a spot out on the floor to land your gaze. And then go ahead and put the foot down, lift the toes up, and switch sides. So the strap's under the right foot, stand tall, soften the right knee, pull gently on the strap, and the foot comes up a couple of inches. And then back down. Over to the left side again. And now remember, in a balanced practice, we go through stages so that when you find the stage that's right for you, you stay there. Let's go back to stage 1. Soften the knee, foot 2 or 3 inches off the floor, check in. If this is your balanced practice, hang out here. Or if you can gently pull on the strap, just bending your elbows, keep your shoulders over your hips, and bring that knee up, hip high. Couple of breaths here. And then slowly return the foot down, toes come up, strap goes under the right foot, stand tall, softening the right knee. Stage 1 first, always just stop, check in. Now if the left leg's ready to let you bring the knee up higher, do that. And return the foot all the way back down. One more round under each foot. Back over to the left side. Soft knee. Foot up just a little. Then, knee in line with the hip. Thigh parallel to the floor. And now, can you push the foot gently into the strap to get both legs straight? And if you did, and the foot is out there, but it's lower than your hip, well, if you just let your elbows bend and bring the hands toward your shoulders, well, then you might be able to get that floating leg parallel to the floor. And then slowly return it back down. Let's get the strap under the right side. One more balanced pose. Soften the right knee. Foot off the floor. Pull gently with the strap. Bring the foot up. Knee hip high and pause. And now pushing the foot forward. Both legs straight. And if you can get the foot higher, pulling gently with the strap, the hands coming towards your shoulders. Don't lean forward or back. Stay tall. And now return the foot down. Take the strap out and set it off to the side. Tadasana feet, mountain pose. Let's just do a half standing flow to bring us back to center. Bring the arms up. And now bring the heels off of the mat and just go onto your tiptoes for a few breaths. Putting the heels back down, let the knees soften. Find Utkatasana, so the torso is gently hinging out over the bent legs, the arms alongside your ears, the palms facing one another. Swan dive over the bent legs and leave them bent until you get your fingertips and thumbs down onto the floor. Then dangle your head and start floating the hips up. Coming to your full forward fold. Don't let your hands leave the floor. So if your hamstring says that's as high as we're going without the hands leaving the floor, well then you probably need to leave a little bend in your legs. Some of you that get to straight legs can start walking the hands back, taking your upper body, your torso, closer to the legs. Then everybody with the hands back out in front of the feet, arms straight, start softening the knees so that you're bringing your hips down to the same height as your shoulders. So the legs are in a half squat, the belly probably resting on your thighs, and you have pillar arms. Now we're going to use the breath to come back to powerful pose, Utkatasana. The legs stay where they are. We're just going to rearrange the torso and arms. Exhaling down low. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Find your powerful pose. Let's straighten the legs. Maybe look up if your balance is okay with that. And then if you did look up, bring the head to neutral and lower the arms. Back to Tadasana. And now, let's do a goddess sequence. First, we need to take the feet wide. Turn the toes out this time, because we want to make sure that when we bend our knees into our goddess legs, that the knees are tracking over the toes. So check in with that. Soften and come down. Try and get the hips, if you can, as low as your knees. Now, if the knees are going past the ankles, come up. Widen the feet or turn the toes out a little more and then drop back down. Make sure that the knees are happy about coming down into this pose. And then, once you've found your place, put the thumbs on the inner knees and guide them back and keep your shoulders up over your hips. Getting your goddess legs in place and then set your goddess arms up, elbows in line with the shoulders, hands right over the elbows at 90 degrees, goddess pose. And now, let's do a goddess flow. So we're going to exhale down here. We'll be straightening the legs and the arms 3 times with the breath. Exhale together. Inhale, up, and pause. Exhale, smoothly drop back down into your goddess. Inhale, up you come. Pause at the top. Exhale, down to goddess. Inhale, up. One more time for this flow. Exhale. Smoothly find your goddess pose again. Take a couple of breaths. And now let's do a goddess twist. Put the thumbs back inside the knees. Guide the knees back, keep the shoulders high. And now the left arm's going to stay straight. we're going to start turning the shoulders to the right, let the right elbow bend, and lean the torso out over the right leg for your goddess twist to the right. Smoothly come back to center. Thumbs guiding the knees back, shoulders back up over the hips. And now the right arm stays straight. Turn to the left, left elbow bends, torso out over the left leg. And then back to center. Goddess pose. Goddess flow. Exhaling here. Inhale, come up. Exhale, smoothly drop back down. Inhale, straighten the legs and arms. Stand tall. Exhale, back to goddess. Inhaling up. Exhale, down. And now inhale up again, keep the arms or the legs straight and lower the arms parallel to the floor. Turn the toes forward and find star pose. Then heel toe step or jump the feet back to Tadasana, mountain pose. And now let's finish our standing practice with a full standing flow. Bring the arms up. Float the heels up. Come on to the toes. Let's put the heels back down and soften the knees. Finding powerful pose, Utkatasana. Swan dive over the bent legs. Put the fingertips and thumbs down. Start floating the hips up. Dangle the head. Find your full forward fold, Uttanasana. And now let's take the hands off of the floor, putting the hands on your kneecaps so you can straighten your legs, straight arms, and a nice tabletop back. Your gaze is straight down at the floor underneath your face, so that here again, the crown of the head is a continuation of your spine. Now we're coming down to Malasana. Let's bend the knees, let the hands slide down the shins. If it helps to put the hands on the floor, put them there to help you safely come down. And then if you can, you take the arms out parallel to the floor. Now, we want our sitting bones as close to the heels as possible. So for some of us, that means letting the heels come off of the floor and we do our squat on our tiptoes. Then, bringing the hips back up, let the hands find the kneecaps again, curl the tailbone up, lift your collarbones forward, tabletop back. Slide the hands down the legs, only bending them if you need to make sure that the hands get down to the floor. Back to your full forward fold. Softening the knees. Put the belly on the thighs. Hips down to shoulder height and pillar arms. Our powerful pose legs are there. We just want to relocate the torso and arms with the breath. Exhaling here. Inhale. Up we come. Back to Utkatasana. Powerful pose. Straightening the legs. Look up if your balance is okay with it. And then if you do look up, head back to neutral, arms down, mountain pose. And now, let's set up for relaxation. And so, making your way down onto your mat, if you like a little padding like I do, I'll get my blanket and spread it out. And then lowering down. Get the spine nicely grounded. Feel yourself centered on your mat. And then float the thighs up over the belly. And place one hand on each shin near the knees and pull the legs close. So with the thighs next to the belly, you have a nice stretch in the low back and hips. And that might be just what you're looking for, so you're welcome to stay here. Or, if you want to get a little massage in the upper back or the back body, you rock the knees gently side to side, and the floor will help you with that massage. And now if you are rocking side to side, come back to center. And let's all pull the legs in close one more time. Then, slowly let the knees float away. The hands stay with the knees until the arms get straight. The hands then brush down the thighs while the feet find the floor. Allow the hands to drop to the floor next to your hips. And rotate the palms open to the ceiling. Allow that rotation to go all the way up into your shoulders so that your shoulders can relax out and down towards the floor. Keep your legs bent while you finish getting the upper body settled in. You might need to fidget a little bit to tuck the shoulder blades in or pick the hips up and center the lower back better. Then once all of that is in place, if you're resting with bent legs, you can heel toe the feet out to the side and let the knees drop together. Or stretch one leg away from you and then the other, choosing to either rest in bent or straight leg. Settle into your Shavasana. Deep relaxation. Attentive to the breath. Rest here in silence for another minute or so, and then I'll bring all of us out together. And now if you did straighten your legs, let them bend one at a time, soles of the feet back on your mat. From here, roll over onto your side to a fetal position to rest for a couple more breaths. And then very gently make your way up so you can finish your practice in a nicely aligned seated position. Sitting tall, yet relaxed again. Soft, centering breath. Thank you for sharing this practice. Enjoy the rest of your day.